Now those who will receive teaching are the living, who are written in the book of the living. They receive teaching about themselves, and they receive it from the Father, returning to Him again. So a couple of things here. Number one, if you're hearing the voice, if you're hearing the language, if you're hearing what's being said, then you are spoken of as having come alive. You are living. You see this in the Gospel of Thomas, where they talk about, you've only spoken of the dead. The dead are like NPCs. They're sort of just a function, if you will, of the world in which they live, and so they don't have that voice inside. They don't have the Father inside, that higher level meaning. That's basically telling them the truth about their reality. So you become alive, and when you recognize that you're written in the book of the living, when you see all those prophecies about the elect, how, again, like in the Wisdom of Solomon, how they're going to go through the world as sparks and, set the world on fire, and just on and on and on. They're spoken of. Those who are going to be alive at the removal of the wicked and the ungodly. Think about all those prophecies. You're written in. You have a name. Um, they receive teaching about themselves. Again, this is teaching about us. They receive it from the Father, that is to say, from above, from the higher level meaning, from the very beginnings, if you will, of the writings. It fathers us all. And we return to Him again because the end is at the beginning. So the end is to find the beginning. And since we see all this is written in from the beginning, we return to that. Since the completion of all is in the Father, it is necessary for all to go up to Him. Then, if someone has knowledge, they receive what are their own, and he draws them to himself because the one who's ignorant, is in need, and it's a great need since they need what will complete them. So, just as knowledge is what completes us, in a sense. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just that. But once you bring it all out and reveal it to the world, you have God's foreknowledge, proof of God's foreknowledge. He's prophesied about us. He said that these mysteries would be lost and then found. Once they're found, it's obvious that they had been lost or stolen, if you will, taken from us. The keys have been taken and hidden from us all of this time. So we're stumbling around again in this metaphorical fog of the 2,000 years, the interim, and what we stumbled about as those in the middle. So our job, obviously, is to go around waking people up with the truth. Anyways, but this is Him supplying our need. Some versions of this say lack. We need what will complete us, and once we receive what completes us, and that again, it's all in the Father. I mean, it's all been stated in the Word from the beginning. So it was before us all, and therefore, the Father of us all. It is necessary to go up to Him. In other words, where He had intended for us to be all along, once we came out of all this, and to receive what are their own. He inscribed these things beforehand, like I just mentioned, having prepared them to give to those who came out from Him. Again, those whom He foreknew, He also called. Um, those whose names He knew beforehand were called at the end. So that the one who has knowledge is the one whose name the Father has called. So if you have this knowledge, you have the name, right? And, again, you are that third dispensation. You are that third thing. So all of the third level stuff is yours. That's built upon the foundations of the apostles, built upon the entrances, if you will, of the patriarchs. But we build on that. We go vertical. We are the pillars. So we ascend up into heaven. Now, those whose names haven't been spoken are ignorant. In other words, the two are kind of interchangeable here. If you have knowledge, then you have a name. If you are ignorant, then you're spoken of as having no name. Indeed, how can someone hear if their name hasn't been called? In other words, those in the middle haven't been given a dispensation. So they have nothing to hear. It isn't for them, at least not directly, not in their time. Um, For the one who's ignorant until the end is a delusion of forgetfulness, and they will dissolve with it. Again, like I said before, they're you can almost think of them as props or something. It seems like what he's saying. Or either that aspect of them. It could well be that the people themselves aren't lost, but the whole delusion that they were under dissolves with it, which I think would be better. But it says, otherwise, why do these miserable ones have no name, and why do they have no voice? Again, they're not called, they're not mentioned. I mean, other than being referred to as those who walk in a fog and those who are deluded. Other than that, they don't have a specific name. They're not called out like a son, like Jesus was, or like the elect are, the sons of God. And again, why do they have no voice? It's just a giant cacophony of noise, each one speaking their own thoughts in their own minds, and they don't see the actual pattern, the thought and the mind, if you will, of the Father that's actually there. So if someone has knowledge, they are from above. And you read that in Revelation, of course, those who dwell in heaven. You see a little bit of that, the heavenly angelic nature of Stephen while he is being stoned. Paul, in fact, actually sees him with the face of an angel. So he knows he's doing wrong, and he knows he's kicking against the pricks, there. But I mean, people have an angelic nature; they are from above, and so they call to hear, and they become differently attuned, right? And so they reply, and they turn to the one who calls them, and so their spirits turn upwards, like it speaks of in the ascension of Isaiah. Um, and they go up to him, and they know that they are called, having knowledge. They do the will of the one who called them. They want to please him, and they receive rest. Now, the rest here, and he goes on to explain this too, but the rest here is just finding that knowledge, and there it is. You're done looking. I mean, you continue your search, in terms of your journey or whatever. But you know that this is the turning point. You know that this is, hey, I found it, and now I get to open up and unpack all of these treasures, and see what's inside them. And so you've arrived, and so you're no longer, in this business of searching for it. Well, once you've come across it, each one's name becomes their own. Again, we each have our own personal journeys. The one who has knowledge like this knows where they came from and where they're going. Because, okay, let me unpack this a little bit too. You have to look back. Each one of us is a realm. Each one of us is an eon. Each one of us is more than just what we are on the outside. When you think about all of your thoughts as you were growing up, all of your experiences, if you just sort of line them up, these are the times I really had a good time, and these are the times that I really had a bad time, or and just list them all out. You can start to make sense, like this time it was this and that time it was that, and just go on down the line. And you go and you analyze your life, and you order it, and you try to find ways of making sense of it and put together the book of your life, maybe with pictures, maybe with go to Street View and old houses or something. You just places that just make sense of your life. God has worked in your life at different times and in different places. um, I'm not going to dwell too much on it, but I mean, just think in terms of that. Think in terms of your own personal meaning in life, and think about times when God is called. So, in other words, each one's name becomes their own because it's a custom thing. Each one of us is a child of God. Each one of us has knowingly or unknowingly, wittingly or unwittingly, had a relationship with God. Because if you're called now, you were destined. And the one who has knowledge like this knows where they came from and where they are going, because again, they've gotten their bearings. They've kind of got their head together. They've made sense of their life because they've recognized God in it. They know, like one who, having been drunk, turns from their drunkenness, and having returned to themselves, restores what are their own. So the first thing is you return to yourself. You recognize your nature and your calling. Um, and then you restore your own personal meaning to your life. Now, I mean, by extension, of course, this is the elect at large, but it goes all the way down to the individual level too. So I just thought I'd point that out, because each one of us is important, and each one of us has our own relationship with God, and that He is our source. We are just here to sort of help each other out, and give each other boosts here and there, and um, but we're all in it for Him. He's returned many from error. Again, this is us collectively and each of us as individuals. He went before them to the realms from which they had moved away. They had received error because of the depth of the one who surrounds every realm, though nothing surrounds him. It is a great wonder that they were in the Father without knowing him, and that they were able to come out by themselves, since they weren't able to grasp and know the one in whom they were. He has revealed his will as knowledge in harmony with all that emanated from him. And that's really kind of a mouthful, but it starts out, he's returned you from error, by what? At the end, revealing his will as knowledge from harmony with all that emanated from him. So everything has happened, has unfolded exactly the way it was supposed to have, up to and including this knowledge, this revelation, if you will. The books themselves were preserved again by divine ordinance. The rejection of these books at the hands of the wicked, as well as the ignorant, that has been accomplished. The worldwide dissemination of this information, translation of this information instantaneously has been accomplished. The groundwork has been laid. Everything can be known. It could be shouted from the rooftops. It could be shouted from your office. It could be shouted from your living room, whatever, and heard unto the ends of the earth. So he's gone before us and paved the way and made the world in such a way, by whatever means, that this can all come about. And if we see it coming about, then we have the knowledge that he's working to make things happen. This is the knowledge of the living book, which he revealed to the generations at the end. Letters from him revealing how they're not vowels or consonants, so that one might read them and think that they're meaningless, but they're letters of the truth. They speak, and they know themselves. So what does this mean? The book here is living because it's come alive. Once you understand the meaning of this book, you become living. We start out talking about that, the book of the living. Those who will receive the teaching are the living who are written in the book of the living. They receive teaching about themselves, and they receive it from the Father, returning to him again. So this just kind of continues this idea. The knowledge of the living book, which he revealed to the generations at the end, letters from him revealing how they're not vowels or consonants, so that one might read them and think they're meaningless, but they're letters of the truth. They speak and know themselves. So again, this book actually has the ability to help you to know yourself in God, and also how to come alive, how to gain the knowledge of the living book, because you're written into it. And this differentiates this from any other religion. Even Christianity alone, even Judaism alone, doesn't give you that last little piece, that enlivened sense that you are rooted in God, and that you are rooted in the truth, because you have that rest, you have that certainty. And so it's beyond just words. I mean, people say this all the time. Oh, the Bible's just another holy book. Oh, the Bible's just, it's not any different from any other holy book. So this is kind of the rabbit out of the hat, so to speak. Okay, so now you're able to pull your name out of the Bible, and you are named in it, the same as the Son was named. You were named, and you are given a secret language. You were given an understanding of the hidden mystery. Where's theirs, right? So you're more than just a vowel or a consonant. You are a realm. You are a being. You're so far beyond that. And each letter is a complete thought, like a book that is complete, since they are letters written by the unity. Again, you see that the Old Testament and the New Testament harmonize, and these books, the books of Enoch and all this other stuff, they all should be seen in light of one another, because they are letters written by the unity, the Father having written them, so that the generations by means of his letters might know the Father. So this right here, what we're reading right now, what is before your face, right here, right now. This is something that we recovered that had been lost. So he saw that this teaching got passed down to us um, for our benefit. So he's overseeing all of this stuff and he's watching it very carefully as it happens. So again, we're not just speaking meaningless stuff here. We are um, essentially delivering here the letters of truth in a living book.